Nowadays, it's not easy to buy Bitcoin. Some purchasers make some costly mistakes when they try to earn some return on their investment for the first time. Therefore, you may want to be careful when making this purchase. Given below are 5 common mistakes that Bitcoin buyers make. Make sure you avoid these mistakes. Wrong address. Make sure you enter the right address when buying Bitcoin. If the address is wrong, it won't be possible to reverse the transaction, and you will lose your money forever. Unfortunately, you can't rectify this mistake if the address you entered was wrong. Therefore, don't forget to triple check your address to ensure it does not have any errors. It won't take hours to check the details. It's better to ask a friend or family member to go over your details. Confirmations. It is a great idea to purchase Bitcoin in person. You should only hand over your hard-earned money when the transaction is complete. It is even better to get multiple confirmations. Therefore, you may want to bear patience in order to make sure there will be no issues later on. This is even more important if you are going to invest a large amount of money. Payment methods. One of the most common ways to make payments online is to use PayPal or a credit card. The reason is that these methods are quite convenient. Plus, they can save you a lot of money. However, keep in mind that you will have to pay higher fees to enjoy this convenience. For example, you will have to face chargeback issues. Therefore, it is better to choose a less expensive method to make payments. For example, you can make a bank transfer. This is even more important if you are going to spend a large amount of money on a regular basis. In the long run, it can save you a lot of money. Missed opportunity. We know that people have been making a lot of money by purchasing and selling Bitcoin. However, if you are going to make this purchase just because you don't want to miss out on this money-making opportunity, you need to think again. Buying Bitcoin without a solid strategy in place is a bad idea. As with any other purchase, you need to do your homework before you invest in Bitcoin. Therefore, having a solid strategy in mind is of paramount importance. Research. Nowadays, the process of buying Bitcoin and other currencies is quite straightforward. The reason is that there are many exchanges and a lot of payment methods to choose from. But the problem is that we all tend to make mistakes, especially when we are going to buy something for the first time. Therefore, you may want to take your time before making this purchase. In short, if you avoid the mistakes described above, you can purchase Bitcoin safely and without any worries. Just make sure you have the basic knowledge of cryptocurrencies. Hope this will help you make informed decisions. Gold and Bitcoin have been used synonymously as safe havens and currencies. What is a safe haven? It is a place to park wealth or money when there is a high degree of uncertainty in the environment. It has to be something that everyone can believe in, even if the current institutions, governments or players in the business game are not available. The wealth has to be kept safe in times of trouble. What are the risks to someone's wealth? There is theft by robbery if it is a physical asset. There is damage by fire, flood or other elements. There is the legal issue in not being able to determine if the asset is really yours or not. There is access risk in that you may own the asset but may not be able to get your hands on it. You may own the asset but may not be able to use it due to some restriction. Who else do you have to rely on to be able to use your wealth, spending it, investing it or converting it into different units of measure, currencies? In cases like cash or currencies, you may have the asset and can freely use it, but it does not have value due to a systemic issue. There may be too many units of the currency such that using them would not purchase very much, hyperinflation. There is also devaluation, where a currency is arbitrarily devalued due to some economic or institution issue. Most of these issues come from too much debt and not enough assets to pay for them. A currency devaluation is like a partial or slow motion bankruptcy for a government or issuer. In a foreclosure scenario, the creditors or users of the currency would be getting a fraction of what the asset or currency was originally worth. No liability. One key aspect for both Bitcoin and gold is that in creating either of them, there is no liability involved. National currencies are issued with interest attached, which means there is a liability to the issuer of the currency. The currencies, due to being centralized, can also be delisted or have their value altered, devalued or swapped for other currencies. With Bitcoin, there would have to be consensus among the players for this to happen. Gold is nature's money, and since it was found, there is no one really in charge of how it works. Gold also has the history of being used as money for thousands of years in virtually every culture and society. Bitcoin does not have this reputation. The internet, technology and power grid are needed for Bitcoin to function, whereas gold just is. The value of gold is based on what it is being exchanged for. The value of Bitcoin is similar to buying a stock or a good, it is determined by what the buyer and seller agree it is worth. Bitcoin issues. Are there regulatory, institutional or systemic risks with Bitcoin? The answer is yes. What if a bunch of central banks or governments took over the Bitcoin issuance? Would this not lead to control issues that could either stop the Bitcoin transactions or impair them? What if the justification was to stop terrorism or illegal activities? There are also technology issues like who controls the internet, the electrical energy involved in mining bitcoins, or other issues in infrastructure, the electrical grid, the nuclear grid, the internet servers, the telecom companies, etc. Regulatory risks can also run the gamut from restricting who buys bitcoins, how many can trade each day, or perhaps issuing trillions of units of fiat currency and buying and selling bitcoins with them, which would cause convulsions in the prices of the unit, leading to mistrust and lack of use. Gold does not have these shortcomings. Once it is mined, it cannot get destroyed. It is not reliant on technology, infrastructure or any institution to make it valid. Since it is small and portable, it can be taken anywhere and still be useful without any other mechanism needed. The prevailing institutions can be changed many times and gold will still be valuable. Gold is a classic safe haven because it does not need institutions to exist, is very hard to forge, cannot be destroyed by the elements and does not have issues of access or restrictions. Physical theft and restriction may be factors, but gold fares better than currencies or digital currencies at this point in time. Do you want to learn how the world of money really works without the need of a time-consuming or expensive course of study? Discuss what you want to achieve according to your horizon. Restructure your finances to achieve your goals. Advice that is not affiliated with any institution or any product, an independent opinion.
Investors from around the globe are trying to cash in on the volatile forex market by trading with the cryptocurrency, Bitcoin. Well, it is quite easy to get started with online trading, but it is important for you to know that there are risks involved that you cannot afford to overlook. As with any of the speculative or exchange markets, Bitcoin trading is also a dicey venture, which can possibly cost you a lot of money, especially if you don't get it right. Therefore, it is essential for you to know about the risks involved before deciding to get started with it. If you are a newbie who is interested in trading with Bitcoin, then you will need to first understand the basics of trade and investing. Avoid the common errors that new traders generally tend to make. Invest wisely. Any kind of financial investment can bring losses instead of profits. Similarly, with the highly unstable Bitcoin market, you can expect both profits and losses. It is all about making the right decisions at the right time. Most of the beginners tend to lose money by making the wrong decisions that are generally driven by greed and poor analytical skills. Experts say that you should not venture into trading if you are not ready to lose money. Basically, such an approach helps you in coping up mentally for the worst possibilities. Diversify the portfolio. First, successful traders diversify their portfolios. Risk exposure increases if most of your funds are allocated for a single asset. It becomes harder for you to cover the losses from other assets. You cannot afford to lose more money than you invested, so avoid placing more funds on limited assets. It will help you sustain the negative trades to quite an extent. Secondly, putting in more cash than you can afford will also cloud your sound decision-making abilities. In most cases, you will be compelled to opt for desperate selling when market declines a little. Rather than holding through the market dip, the investor who has over-invested on the trade is bound to panic. The person will feel the urge to sell off the holding for a low price in an attempt to lessen the losses. You will also be losing more cash when market recovers. It is because you will have to buy the same holding back, but at higher price. Set goals. Emotions make you blind. Goal setting for each transaction is vital when you trade Bitcoin. It helps you stay level-headed even in the extremely volatile conditions. Therefore, you will need to first determine the price to stop your losses. The same rule also applies for profits, especially if you let your greed take over. The benefit of setting goals is that you can easily prevent making the decisions based on emotions. Instead, you should work towards improving your skills for reading the charts and conducting market analysis. It is also advisable for new traders to close their losing positions in 24 hours, so as to avoid paying the recurring interest.